What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and man, the time has come. It's time for the Utah Jazz to blow it up. Last night, we all saw the Dallas Mavericks close out the series in Utah in 6 games. As happy as I am for the Dallas Mavericks, they've been well coached all year. They've had a phenomenal year. It's good to see Luka Doncic finally get that first round win off of his back and advance to the second round. I'm disappointed in the Jazz, man. I'm extremely disappointed. And this is coming off of a disappointing last year playoff exit to the Los Angeles Clippers after Kawhi went down. And I feel like this is a back-to-back years where it looks like, from afar, the Utah Jazz are kind of set up in a place where they can take advantage of a moment and advance, and they don't. Last year you cut them some slack because, there was no Kawhi, but Paul George is still a star level player who was able to lead them and carry them, and they were able to exploit Rudy Gobert. You know what I mean? Terrence Mann had a game for the ages in that game 7 where he went off for, I think, 39 or something like that on Rudy, and they went ultra small and they were able to neutralize him. So you kind of just say, okay, 1 in a million chance or whatnot. Then you come into a similar situation here, which is a little worse, a lot worse actually, because when you look at the Dallas Mavericks, the dynamic with them and Luka has always been that he's the engine. And when there's no Luka, it's just like, do they have a chance to win in anything? And for the Mavericks to really fight as hard as they did without Luka and compete and win and look like a better team throughout the course of this entire series, it was kind of mind-blowing and extremely disappointing. Because there's like, without Luka, you're like, man, what can the Mavericks do? And next thing you know, the Utah Jazz allowed Jalen Brunson to evolve into a star of his own, damn near. You know what I mean? Like, we as the basketball community have made the assumption that there's $100 million contract that's going to be waiting for Jalen Brunson in free agency because of how good he just played in the absence of Luka against a team that everybody looked at as the far favorite because there was no Luka. So it's two back-to-back disappointing years that are kind of just like excuseless. And then on top of that, you look at the last 4 years for them, and it's been 3 first-round exits. This is a team that was a number 1 seed. You know what I mean? This is a team who early, when assembled and when this core was together from an early standpoint, they had high success. This is a team that beat that Melo, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook team in the first round and was able to advance and play against the Rockets. And it looked like, man, okay, this team has some stuff. Donovan Mitchell is legit. We see the impact that Rudy has. Rubio was on that team, I remember, and it was like, okay, this is a nice team. If they can upgrade that point guard position and get somebody high level, man, the sky is really the limit. And to our surprise, they went out and got Mike Conley, who at the time was like, man, that's the exact type of point guard that they need. That's a great acquisition. And since then, they've kind of made the good, proper moves. They had Joe Ingles there. I remember when they brought in Bogdanovich, that was a good move. You were able to get Jordan Clarkson, and look what he turned into, a 6-man of the year for them. So over the years, it seemed like they had a nice little core, and they made the proper moves to surround those pieces and evolve into a system where you got all of these shooters. You drive, kick. You have Rudy inside for lobs, and then on the defensive end, you have Rudy protecting the basket. You got a bunch of guys who can switch, on the perimeter. But this year, perimeter defense was terrible. We've seen teams are finding ways to neutralize Rudy because of the lack of perimeter defense as well, where you put him in a position to where he either has to help and he's leaving a corner open 3-point shot, like the Mavericks exposed with Maxi Kleber and Bertans, or, like last year, the Clippers went ultra small and they just attacked them. They really just attacked them, and Terrence Mann had the game of his career, which a lot of outsiders obviously they are very critical to Rudy because of that. I'm a little bit 50-50. It's crazy and mind-blowing that this guy has dominated, the Defensive Player of the Year award and the defensive metrics. And then every year in the playoffs, teams find a way to expose him. I get it. It's extremely mind-blowing and just kind of crazy how that works. But you can't all the way say he's a terrible defender. The numbers and the impact speak for itself. He does have some value on the defensive end. The thing with the Jazz is I don't think they've been able to find a way to see that value really become valuable, if that makes any sense. They haven't found a way to bring his fullest value into the postseason, because when it's the postseason, There's teams have 7 games to really key in on you, scheme and plot and expose your weaknesses. And the Jazz just have not had a way to cover it up. This is a year personally where I thought they went out and made proper adjustments in free agency to probably have guys who can come in and counter the opposition. You know, Rudy Gay, small ball 5, Eric Pascal, Rudy Gay. Injuries, age, and Pascal just never really hit the rotation as much as I thought that he would. So that was a bit disappointing. And, you know, everything else surrounding this team, you know, the Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell beef or drama that's always been in the news since the whole pandemic situation. You know, Quinn Snyder's name has been all in a rumor mill about different coaching vacancies and if he'll leave. And even watching his post-game interview last night, you know, some of the wording and wordage, I'm not trying to overreact at all here. It sounded like a goodbye to me. Just some of the things he was saying. You know, I've had a pleasure coaching this group or whatever. You know, it sounds like words that can make you think somebody is on a way out. And then when you remove yourself from all of that and you realize that they have new ownership, they bring in Danny Ainge. You know, those are moves that you make when you want to make changes. You know, you don't bring in Danny Ainge or nobody acquires an entire team to not make moves and improvements. And it's glaring right now. It's at an all-time high that this team needs major moves to be made. They say insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So that's why, for me, this is the time. We've seen Utah be the number 1 seed. Didn't work. We've seen Utah have a 3-1 lead. I know it was the bubble, no home court advantage, but they blew that. Nuggets came back. We've seen them have, you know, luck, so to speak, and it looked like they can have a series they could take advantage of. And in back-to-back years, they didn't take advantage of either, with Kawhi going down, Luka not being available for the first few games or whatnot. I don't know. But now I have in front of me the roster. Because that's the type of guy I am. I love roster construction. I love seeing ways teams can get better and in the different routes and directions they can go. And when I have this payroll and salary cap table in front of me, I get even more interested because I look at this and I say, wow, they don't really have any wiggle room. So now we're going into a territory where the Utah Jazz have no option or no choice but to blow it up. Because if they don't, they're essentially going to bring back the same team. I'm looking at Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. They both have essentially 4-year deals. 4 years remaining on their contracts, right? They both have 3 years with player options. Rudy's player options for $46 million. He's not going to turn that down. And Donovan Mitchell's player options for $37 million. People aren't turning down $37 and $46 million. So they have 4 years remaining on their contracts. Then I look at Mike Conley at age 34. After this season, he's going to have 2 more years left on that deal at $22.6 million, and the last year is at 24.3. He's going to be 36 years old, making basically $25 million. And I get it. It'll be the last year. Somebody will probably eat the contract, potentially, you know, for salary bonuses, maybe. And it's not fully guaranteed. He has to play a certain amount of games, but still, you know, it hurts your wiggle room for the immediate future. Now you have 2 distasteful series back to back over the last 2 years, and you're like, man, maybe you just want to desperately try this Rudy and Donovan thing one more time, but you want to surround these 2 with different things. Where's your wiggle room to do that? You really don't have no choice. So it's either make major moves like trade Rudy or trade Donovan, or you're bringing the same team back, because you're not. I just don't see how you crazily change this team by trading Mike Conley $22 million right now at 34, 35 years old. The point guard position is so deep in the league, I don't know how much you get back for that. I don't. You look at Bogdanovich. Next year will be his last year of his deal. $19.5 million. That's going to be attractive. He has size. He can shoot the ball, can play off the ball, can space the floor. You know, throughout his career, he's shown the ability to defend at some sort of level as a team defender. This past year, I don't know how many guys you can call defenders, perimeter defenders on the Utah Jazz after what we just saw with the Dallas Mavericks series. It's hard to consider anybody a defender outside of Rudy Gobert. But Jordan Clarkson, he'll have 2 years after this year on a bargain contract, 13.3 the next year, and then he has a 14.2 player option on the last year of the deal. That's extremely attractive. But again, in this series, he looked like one of the only guys that can create something. The only guy who can get some dribble penetration and knock down shots outside of Donovan Mitchell. So I don't even know if they would want to get rid of him. Then you have Royce O'Neal. He's locked up. You got him for $27 million, which ain't bad. Over the next 3 years, he's making right $9 million. But what are you getting for Royce O'Neal? With all due respect, what return is Royce O'Neal bringing? Juancho Hernan-Gomez. He'll be on the last year his deal next year, $6 million. You got Rudy Gay, who has 2 years remaining. He has next year, and then he has a $6 million player option. I don't even remember really seeing Rudy Gay on the Jazz this year. Very big disappointment in that aspect. Then you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker as a team option over the next 2 years. And then after that, you're probably going to really pay him, or you can just walk away. But so the only wiggle room, or the only guys that can potentially leave for nothing is Hassan Whiteside, his $2 million, and then Eric Paschall, his $1.7 million. So you don't really have wiggle room to say, okay, we'll let these guys walk and then we'll make a major acquisition free agency. They don't have that luxury. So I'm trying to think to myself, how the hell can they get better without blowing up? And that's what leading all signs to blowing it up. And then for me, I think it's deeper than just trading Rudy, because I am still trying to figure out what exactly is Rudy's value. What is his value? What does he bring you back? We even had the conversation slightly on Through the Wire, where it was like the OG Anunoby, the Raptor thing. But it's like, would the Raptors even trade OG Anunoby? I'm not really sure they would. I'm not sure that they would. The Mavericks was a team that was linked to him in the rumor mill this year, earlier around the trade deadline. Not that they were going to trade him, but just it was coming up in conversations like, man, if they fold and, you know, Donovan is pissed off, they might just try to trade Rudy, make some type of changes to keep Donovan happy, so he won't request to leave and go to New York or wherever. I have no idea why the Mavericks would have any interest in Rudy after what they just did to him. I don't know why. Maybe because they won't have, you know what I mean? Then even then, that's the important part of knowing his value, because the Jazz, you're going to take Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dwight Powell. They're in a tough spot, man. They are in a tough spot. They are in a tough ass spot because Rudy is making max money, $35, $38, $41, $43, $46 million. That's number one. He obviously has some value because what he does defensively, I'm not going to disrespect him. He has value there, and it does mean something. It just has to be in a situation where somebody can get it to the fullest value or get that same replicated regular season defense and bring it into the postseason. There has to be somebody or some team that can just get that value to be equal from regular season to postseason. The Jazz are not that team, clearly. But there is some value. But it's like the trade value as well. If you're the Jazz, are you trading him just to get rid of him? I don't know if Rudy is that bad where you just getting rid of him. Hey, yeah, just give me Dwight Powell and Tim Hardaway Jr. and just call it even. I don't know if it's that bad. They have their hands full. They might be in a situation where they can only trade Donovan Mitchell, because nobody wants Mike Conley. I'm telling you that right now. Nobody wants Mike Conley. Not unless you're just going to give him away. Bogdanovich people will want, but he's not bringing anything drastic back. It's not nothing that's going to turn around the franchise. And then Rudy, we don't even know his value. I would love, matter of fact, while you're watching this video, if any of you have an idea, or if you can tell me what your value of Rudy Gobert is on a trade market, what you think is solid return, or what you would want back if you're the Jazz, or if you're another team, what you would want to give up for him, let me know in the comments, because I'm still trying to figure it out. It's one of the most burning questions in the NBA that I just can't find an answer for. And then the team overall. Even if you go forward and you say, hey, I want to build with Donovan Mitchell, what does that look like? Is Donovan Mitchell at 6'1" going to be able to be a shooting guard? But then at the same time, is Donovan Mitchell a good enough? Do you believe in him enough as a playmaker or as a, primary ball handler to play point and just surround him with shooting? Like, I just don't know what direction it is. So I'm trying to figure out, how do they blow this up? How do you blow it up? Do you go Donovan's way because he has the most value? He could bring you back a major return. The Knicks would probably give a fortune up for him. Somebody would give a lot up for Donovan Mitchell. And you just take all of those pieces, draft assets, and you just rock with Rudy and just try to rebuild this thing up? Or do you give up Rudy for nothing or for pennies on a dollar and just say, hey, we're going to thug it out and just try to figure this thing out around Donovan because at least he has some type of star power? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out myself because nothing against Donovan Mitchell, but on a business aspect, because he is so valuable, you might have to trade Donovan Mitchell. You might have to. And also because if I'm just being me, using my basketball brain, I'm not sure if Donovan Mitchell can be the best player on a team that's going where I want it to go. So it's like, man, I trade Donovan Mitchell, I get a bunch of youthful players, I get some draft picks, and I just go from there. And I just really try to rebuild this thing all the way from ground one. I highly doubt that the Utah Jazz want to go all the way back to ground one. But when I look at this, man, I don't see options for a temporary fix. This doesn't look like a situation where you can just go into free agency and try to fix some things. It doesn't seem as easy as just trading Rudy Gobert. And it might lead you to a situation where you only have, and all of y'all be in the videos like, man, who calling you? Answer the phone. It's always a scam likely. It's always a scam likely call, man. It's always coming and trying to ruin my video, vibrating all in my pocket. But there's just not many options. And if Quinn Snyder is looking like he's on the way out because he's done everything he can do, this team has ran its course. We've seen them have the most success that they can have. We've seen them at their best, and it's not championship basketball. You have this weird fix where both of your players aren't like true number one best players to be on a championship team, where Rudy is like dominant defensively, but it doesn't show in the playoffs, and then he doesn't do anything really offensively. Donovan is good, but is he number one option on a championship team? Doesn't look like it. I don't know, man. I don't know. The more and more I talk about it right now in this video, the more I'm leaning on to the point of like, man, trading Donovan Mitchell and getting as much in return as you can. And you damn near go to ground one, because after you trade Donovan Mitchell, you look to try to trade Rudy. Try to find a place where you can get as much value as you can for Rudy. But keeping this team together is insanity. It's pointless. It's a waste of time. I don't know if it's another coach with a different philosophy that can come and fix this. And I really think that the disappointments over the last couple seasons is no doubt about it going to put a crutch on this team. I don't think they're going to ever mentally, as a unit, be able to overcome the fact that they just got embarrassed by a Luka Doncic less Dallas Mavericks. But even before Luka came, the Mavericks had control of this series. Paul George, who was playoff P, can't, you know what I mean? No playoff success. He's not that guy that everybody's ridiculing. He shows his ass single-handedly against y'all without Kawhi. Blew a 3-1 lead, even though it was a bubble, but you blew a 3-1 lead against the Denver Nuggets when Donovan is playing peak Donovan. We probably will never see another version of Donovan like that. Rudy is dominating the league defensively and then coming in playoff series getting embarrassed. I don't know. It's time to blow it up, man. It is time to blow it up. Anybody that watches this, if you have anything to add to the points I made, please put it in, because this is still an ongoing process that I'm trying to figure out. I don't have all the answers. I just know that I'm tired of seeing this and that this is not going to work. And when I go over this roster and the salaries, there is no quick fixes that can be made unless you make a drastic change. And the one that makes the most sense is Donovan Mitchell. I hate to say it to you Jazz fans who probably love Donovan. He's an extremely good player. But when they talk about making sense of something, Rudy isn't bringing you back anything. And I don't know if Donovan Mitchell is the type of player that's just carrying a team night in, night out as a shooting guard as well, unless you're going to move him to point guard, and we don't even know how that looks. So I don't know. You might have to trade Donovan first, get a bunch of assets, and start over, and then look to trade Rudy whenever you feel like you can get the most for his value that matches what you want, and you move on from there. Anybody that disagrees, please let me know, and let me know why. And if you have any type of Rudy Gobert trades, destinations, anything that makes sense to you, please put all of those type of things in the comments, because this is going to be an ongoing situation that I'm watching very, very closely all offseason, because I am so fascinated with how they're going to fix this. Danny Ainge has his hands full to capacity, because this is tough. This is tough. Rudy is 29 years old, and he's about to start making 38, 41, 43, and $46 million. Mike Conley is 34, and he's going into 35th and 36-year-old years, $22, $24 million. As always, this is NBA Weekly, man. I'm Pee Wee the Plug. Appreciate y'all. Please like those comments up. I cannot wait to see the responses to this and the ideas and different things that you guys come up with, because I'm having a headache trying to make sense of it all my damn self. Appreciate y'all though. Much love. Make sure y'all like. If you're new, subscribe. Road to 30K. As always, I am out. Peace.